The rain came down in sheets across Verdania's canopy, turning the forest into a symphony of drumming water against oversized leaves. Jasper Vale pulled his hood tighter as he navigated the muddy path toward the stream, his collection kit bouncing against his hip. 3 years of isolation on this moon had taught him to work in any weather. The bioluminescent fungi he studied didn't care about his comfort. His boots squelched through the undergrowth as exotic birdsong echoed through the trees. Most researchers would kill for an assignment on Verdania, with its Earth-like atmosphere and stunning biodiversity. For Jasper, it was simply a place where nobody asked questions about his past or why a once promising xenobotanist had chosen to bury himself on a backwater moon at the edge of explored space. The stream came into view. Swollen from the downpour, its normally crystal-clear water churning brown with sediment, Jasper was about to turn back when something caught his eye. A flash of pale luminescence near the far bank, too steady to be reflected lightning. He moved closer, curiosity overriding caution. The glow came from beneath an overhanging fern, pulsing weakly like a dying ember. Jasper crouched at the water's edge, pushing aside the fronds. His breath caught. A girl lay half submerged in the shallows, her body twisted at an awkward angle against the rocks. But she wasn't human. Her skin held an opalescent quality, shifting between pearl white and subtle blues as the light played across it. Intricate silver markings traced along her arms and neck, geometric patterns that seemed to pulse in time with her labored breathing. Her hair, the color of starlight, spread around her head like a halo in the water. She was beautiful. And she was dying. Jasper's medical training kicked in before his brain could process the impossibility of finding an unknown alien species in his stream. He checked for breathing, shallow but present. Her pulse, when he found it at her throat, was rapid and thready, her skin cool to the touch. Dark purple blood seeped from a deep gash across her ribs. Some kind of energy weapon, Jasper recognized from his brief stint with the Colonial Medical Corps before everything went wrong. "Can you hear me?" he asked, knowing she probably didn't speak standard. Her eyes fluttered open, large, luminous eyes the color of twilight, with vertical pupils that contracted despite her weakened state. Fear flashed across her delicate features. "Easy," Jasper said softly, the same tone he'd use with a frightened animal. "I'm going to help you." She tried to speak, a melodic sound that reminded him of wind chimes, but her voice was too weak. Her eyes rolled back, consciousness slipping away. Jasper made his decision. Carefully, he lifted her from the water. She weighed less than he expected, her bone structure delicate beneath his hands. The silver markings on her skin flared brightly at his touch, then dimmed. Some kind of biological response, he noted clinically, even as his heart raced. The trek back to his research station took 20 minutes that felt like hours. The girl, woman, he corrected himself, she appeared to be in her early 20s by human standards, remained unconscious, her head lolling against his shoulder. Up close, he could see more details, the faint scales along her cheekbones that caught the light, the slight point to her ears, the way her markings seemed to shift and rearrange themselves like living tattoos. His station was a modest prefab structure, half buried in the hillside for temperature regulation. Jasper shouldered through the door and laid her carefully on his medical scanner, a piece of equipment he'd hoped never to use again. The scanner hummed to life, projecting a holographic display of her internal structure. Jasper's eyes widened as data streamed across the screen. Her biology was unlike anything in the galactic database, and he'd studied xenobiology for a decade before his self-imposed exile. "What are you?" he murmured, watching her chest rise and fall with each shallow breath. The wound was the immediate concern. Jasper prepped his medkit, hoping that universal antibiotics and tissue regenerators would work on her alien physiology. As he cleaned the injury, he noticed the edges seemed to be trying to heal themselves, silver light flickering beneath the damaged tissue. Self-repair mechanisms, he realized. Advanced ones. Whatever species she belonged to had remarkable regenerative abilities, which begged the question of what kind of weapon could hurt her this badly. Jasper worked through the night, monitoring her vital signs and adjusting his treatments as her body responded. The tissue regenerator helped, though not as effectively as it would on a human. He ended up falling back on old-fashioned suturing, his hand steady despite the strangeness of the situation. As dawn broke over Verdania, Painting the sky in shades of amber and rose, the girl's breathing finally steadied. Her markings had stopped their frantic pulsing, settling into a gentle rhythm. Jasper slumped in his chair beside her, exhaustion pulling at him. Her eyes opened. This time, there was no fear in them, only curiosity and something that might have been gratitude. She reached up slowly, her fingers brushing against his face with feather-light touch. The silver markings on her hand glowed softly. "Nix," she whispered, the word clear despite her alien accent. She pressed her hand against her chest. "Nix, Jasper," he replied, understanding. He touched his own chest. "I'm Jasper." Her lips curved into a small smile before exhaustion claimed her again. But this time, Jasper knew she would survive. What he didn't know was that in saving her life, he'd just set in motion events that would change the fate of humanity itself. The next 3 days passed in a delicate rhythm of care and discovery. Jasper found himself abandoning his research entirely, his attention consumed by his unexpected patient. Nix slept in long stretches, her body directing all its energy toward healing. When she was awake, those twilight eyes followed his every movement with an intelligence that made his pulse quicken. Communication came in fragments. She would point at objects, speaking words in her melodic language, then wait as Jasper repeated them. Water became Lirsha. Food was Menta. The sun filtering through his window was Solaran. In return, he taught her Standard, delighted by how quickly she absorbed the new language. "Why? You help?" she asked on the 4th morning, her accent thick but understandable. She sat propped against pillows on his bed. He'd been sleeping on the floor, wearing one of his oversized shirts. The garment hung off one shoulder, revealing the intricate silver patterns that traced across her collarbone. Jasper looked up from preparing breakfast, a simple porridge made from local grains that she'd tentatively accepted. "Because you needed help," he said simply. "Why wouldn't I?" Nix tilted her head, a gesture he'd learned meant confusion. "Many beings see different, see danger. Not see person." "I'm not most beings," Jasper replied, bringing her the bowl. Their fingers brushed as she took it, and he felt that now familiar spark, her markings flaring briefly at the contact. He'd noticed it happened every time they touched, as if her body recognized something in his. "No," she agreed softly, her eyes holding his. "You are unique." Over meals and quiet conversations, Jasper learned fragments of her story. She came from the Celestari, a species he'd never heard of, which shouldn't have been possible given his extensive xenobiological training. They lived far beyond the explored territories in a region they called the Shimmer Vale. "My people, we are dying," she told him one evening as they sat on his porch, watching Verdania's famous meteor showers streak across the sky. "Sickness. No cure. And you're looking for one?" Jasper asked. Nix nodded, her expression troubled. "I carry information in here." She touched her temple, then her chest. "In my genetic?" She looked at him questioningly, testing the technical term. "DNA," Jasper supplied. "You carry information in your DNA?" "Yes, DNA. Ancient knowledge. Could save my people. Could save..." She hesitated, searching for words. "Could save many peoples. Humans, too." Before Jasper could press for more details, the distant sound of engines cut through the evening air. They both tensed. Nix's hand found his automatically, her markings brightening with what he'd learned was fear or stress. Inside, Jasper said quietly, "Now." They'd just ducked through the door when a small transport ship settled onto the clearing Jasper used for supply deliveries. It wasn't the regular supply runner. This vessel was sleek, expensive, and its hull bore the scars of someone who'd seen trouble. A man emerged, tall and weathered, with the kind of calculating eyes that missed nothing. He wore trader's garb, but Jasper recognized the telltale bulge of weapons beneath his coat. "Can I help you?" Jasper called from the porch, keeping his body between the stranger and the door. "Name's Voss," the man said, his smile not reaching his eyes. "Merchant trader working this sector. Heard there was a botanist out here. Thought you might be interested in some rare specimens I acquired." It was a thin excuse. Traders didn't make special trips to isolated research stations for potential customers. Jasper's instincts, honed during his years in the medical corps, screamed danger. "Not interested," Jasper replied. "I study local flora. Don't need imports." Voss's smile widened, growing more predatory. "Shame, I'm also looking for something. Someone, actually." He pulled out a holographic projector and an image flickered to life. Seen anyone matching this description? Non-human, unusual appearance, might be injured? The image was grainy, but unmistakably showed someone of Nix's species. Jasper's blood ran cold, but he kept his expression neutral. Haven't seen anyone. I'm alone out here. That's kind of the point. Right. Voss pocketed the projector. Mind if I take a look around? Just to be sure. Actually, I do mind. Jasper descended the porch steps, positioning himself more firmly. This is private research property, licensed through the Colonial Science Authority. You need authorization to search it. Something dangerous flashed in Voss's eyes. Now let's not make this difficult, friend. There's a substantial reward for information about this person. Could make your lonely life out here much more comfortable. The answer is no, Jasper said firmly. You should leave. For a moment, Jasper thought Voss might try something violent. The trader's hand drifted toward his coat. Then, from the forest edge, a pack of verdant wolves emerged. Six-legged predators native to the moon. They weren't attacking, just passing through as they often did, but their presence shifted the moment. Voss backed toward his ship. I'll be in the area a few more days. If you see anything, or change your mind about that reward. He tossed a contact chip onto the ground. You know where to find me? The ship lifted off with a roar of engines, leaving scorched vegetation in its wake. Jasper didn't move until it disappeared beyond the tree line. Only then did he release the breath he'd been holding. Nix appeared in the doorway, her markings pulsing rapidly. He hunts me. Yeah, Jasper agreed, climbing back up the steps. Question is, who sent him and how did they find you here? Inside, Nix paced his small living space, agitated in a way he hadn't seen before. There are those who want what I carry. Who would use it for... She struggled with the vocabulary. For power, for control, not for healing. Pirates? Jasper guessed. Black market traders? Pirates, yes. But also... She turned to him, fear and determination warring in her expression. Also my own people. Some believe the knowledge should not be shared, that it makes us vulnerable. Jasper processed this. So you're running from both sides? I'm running toward something, she corrected. Toward hope. Toward... She approached him, close enough that he could see the subtle play of colors in her opalescent skin. I believe the universe brought me to you, Jasper Vale. Not by accident. His breath caught as she reached up, her cool fingers touching his face. The silver markings on her hand glowed brilliantly, and he felt a warmth spread from the point of contact, not physical heat, but something deeper, cellular. His own skin tingled in response. When I touch you, she whispered, my genetic markers respond. You are compatible, more than compatible. You are... She searched for the word, her twilight eyes searching his. You are key. Key to what? Jasper asked, though his heart already knew the answer. Key to saving everyone, Nix replied. She leaned closer, her forehead nearly touching his. If you choose. The moment stretched between them, charged with possibility and danger. Outside, Verdania's twin moons rose over the forest canopy. Inside, a reclusive botanist and a fugitive alien stood on the precipice of something that would change both their lives forever. Jasper's hand came up to cover hers where it rested against his face. Tell me everything, he said. From the beginning, and she did. Nix's story unfolded through the night like a tapestry woven from starlight and sorrow. They sat close together on Jasper's worn couch, her hand never leaving his as she spoke, their connection seeming to strengthen with each word. The Celestari were once numerous, she began, her voice taking on the cadence of ancient history. We lived in harmony with the Shimmer Veil, a region of space where reality bends, where quantum energies flow like rivers. Our bodies evolved to harness these energies. That is why my markings glow, why I heal faster than other species. Jasper traced one of the silver patterns on her forearm, marveling as it brightened under his touch. What happened? 30 cycles ago, your years, perhaps 40, a plague emerged. We called it the Fade. It begins with the markings dimming, then the quantum connection severing. Without that connection, we cannot process certain proteins. Our bodies consume themselves. Her voice cracked. I have watched my sister fade to nothing, my mother. Half my people are gone. I'm sorry, Jasper said, squeezing her hand. He understood loss intimately, the reason he'd fled to Verdania in the first place. Our scientists discovered something, Nix continued. Records from the predecessors, beings who existed before our species, before humans, before most life in this galaxy. They seeded worlds with genetic templates, fail-safes encoded in DNA itself, cures for diseases that wouldn't emerge for millennia. Biological time capsules. Jasper breathed, his scientific mind racing. That's incredible. The knowledge was hidden in sacred keepers, individuals whose DNA carried the encoded information. I am the last. She met his eyes. But the information is locked. It requires a catalyst, a compatible genetic structure from another species to decode it. And somehow I'm compatible. Nix nodded. When I crashed here dying, I thought I had failed. Then you touched me, and my markings responded as they never had before. Your genetic structure, something in your human adaptability, it resonates with the encoded information I carry. What's encoded in you? Jasper asked. Just the cure for your people? No, her expression grew grave. The fade is spreading. It has already reached the outer rim. Human colonies report similar symptoms: genetic degradation, immune system collapse. Your scientists call it the cascading syndrome. Jasper's blood turned to ice. He'd heard reports before leaving Earth. Entire colonies quarantined. No known cause, no cure. The Colonial Medical Corps had been desperately searching for answers when he'd... The cure I carry works for both our species, Nix said. For many species. The predecessors designed it that way, but there are those who would use this knowledge differently. Voss, Jasper guessed. He's working for someone. Captain Thorne, Nix confirmed, her markings flickering with fear. Leader of the Ravagers. They want to weaponize the cure, sell it to the highest bidders while billions die. And some of my own people, the purists, believe sharing this knowledge violates our sacred duty. They would rather we all die than compromise our genetic heritage. Jasper stood, pacing as he processed the weight of what she'd revealed. So you're carrying the cure to a galaxy-wide plague, being hunted by pirates and your own people, and you need my DNA to unlock it. Yes, Nix said simply. I know it is much to ask. The explosion cut her off. The entire station shook, throwing them both to the floor. Alarm klaxons blared as Jasper's defense systems registered multiple hostile contacts. Through the window, he saw 3 ships descending. Sleek fighters with the blood-red markings of the Ravagers. They found us, Nix gasped. Jasper pulled her to her feet, his mind shifting into survival mode. The back exit. We can make it to the forest before another explosion, closer this time. The front wall of his station disintegrated in a shower of debris. Through the smoke, a figure emerged, massive, scarred, with cybernetic enhancements glinting in the firelight. Captain Thorne. Well. The pirate's voice rumbled like grinding metal. The little Celestarian, her new pet. Voss said you were here, but I wanted to see for myself. 2 more pirates flanked him. Weapons trained on Jasper and Nix. There was nowhere to run. Captain Thorne, Nix said, straightening despite her fear. You know what I carry cannot be weaponized. The encoding will destroy the information if used for harm. Thorne laughed, a harsh sound. That's what your people believe. But I've got scientists who think differently. Scientists who've been very interested in the compatibility between you and... He gestured at Jasper with his weapon. Whatever human you've chosen. How did you know? Jasper demanded. Genetic scanners, boy. When Voss got close enough to your station, he picked up the resonance. 2 beings in quantum genetic harmony. Stands out like a beacon once you know what to look for. Thorne's cybernetic eye whirred, focusing. Now you're both coming with me. Try anything and I'll kill the human. The Celestary I need alive. You? He shrugged. You're just a key. Keys can be used once, then discarded. Nix's hand found Jasper's, her markings blazing with light. Through their touch, he felt something. A wordless communication, an understanding. Jasper, she whispered. Trust me. Before he could respond, Nix's entire body erupted with light. The silver markings spread like lightning across her skin, blazing so brightly the pirates staggered back. She thrust her free hand forward, and a pulse of quantum energy exploded outward, slamming into Thorne and his crew. Run! She shouted. They burst through the back exit as more pirates poured into the ruined station. Jasper led the way, navigating the forest paths by instinct. Behind them, weapons fire lit up the night, energy bolts scorching trees and sending wildlife fleeing in panic. That trick with the light, Jasper panted as they ran. How much can you do that? Not much, Nix admitted, already flagging. I am still healing. It drains me. They plunged deeper into the forest, the sounds of pursuit growing closer. Jasper's mind raced through options. His station was destroyed. His comm equipment was gone. The nearest settlement was 300 kilometers away. Then he remembered. The ruins, he said. 2 kilometers east. Ancient structures. The survey team that mapped them said they interfered with scanning equipment. We can hide there. Nix nodded, conserving her breath for running. They crashed through undergrowth, slid down muddy embankments, forded a swollen stream. Behind them, searchlights swept through the trees. Thorne's voice echoed through amplified speakers. You can't hide forever. The whole sector knows you're here now. The ruins emerged from the darkness like broken teeth, stone pillars and crumbling walls covered in moss and vines. Jasper had explored them once months ago, documenting the strange architecture for his reports. Now they represented sanctuary. They ducked into what had once been a temple or meeting hall, its roof partially collapsed but its walls still standing. Jasper pulled Nix into the deepest shadows, both of them fighting to control their breathing. Outside, the sounds of the search drew closer. Nix slumped against him, exhausted. Her markings had dimmed to barely visible glimmers. Jasper, she whispered, if they capture us, if they force the genetic transfer under coercion, the knowledge will be corrupted. Millions will die. They won't catch us, Jasper promised, though he had no idea how to keep that promise. She looked up at him, her twilight eyes holding depths of emotion that transcended language. There is another way. We could complete the transfer now. If you carry the cure in your DNA, you could share it with human scientists. Even if they capture me, the knowledge survives. The transfer, Jasper said carefully. What does it involve? Nix's opalescent skin flushed with color. A complete genetic exchange. Our DNA must merge, recombine. It requires, she searched for words, intimate connection. Perfect trust. Complete joining. Understanding dawned on Jasper. Heat flooded through him despite their desperate situation. Are you sure? He asked. This isn't just about survival, Nix. If we do this, I know, she interrupted, her hand cupping his face. I feel what you feel, Jasper Vale, through our connection. This is not just biological necessity. Her thumb traced his lips. I have never known anyone like you. In all my travels, all my life. You are. A searchlight swept past their hiding place. They froze, pressed together in the darkness. When it passed, their eyes met. We don't have much time, Jasper whispered. Then let us not waste it, Nix replied, pulling him closer. As the search continued outside, 2 beings from different worlds came together in the ancient ruins, their connection deepening from mere compatibility into something profound. And in that joining, the cure that could save billions began its transfer, written in the language of DNA itself.